I think it's a good transition actually, because
Hmm.
normally at this point we would transition to our second segment, which is we'd bring on a nonprofit or a community-based
Perfect.
organization, and we go to Stronger Together. And
Hmm.
I thought it would be really appropriate to have you on again right now for our Stronger Together segment because you've been so involved with a lot of great, you know, nonprofit organizations around you, but also here, like you've come back to Hawaii to really help with that as well. And then you've got this great new program with, I don't want to mispronounce it. I know it's buy one feed one, but
Yeah,
the acronym
BOFO.
is BOFO,
BOFO Hawaii.
which I don't want people to think that I'm saying bufo, which is the
No,
frog, right?
something completely
Yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah. We're not trying to preserve the bufo frogs, but I wanted to talk to you about all of that. But I guess before we get into that, why has that been? Because it seems like you've committed so much of your time and energy to doing things like that. Why has that been such a focus for you? Um,
Charities
because
in general,
yeah,
or
yeah,
this
yeah.
particular? I think that,
Charities in general.
I've been so fortunate, and it sounds so cliche-ish, right, to say that
Mm,
kind of stuff. But really, when I look at my career and I look at my life, I mean, I have been so lucky. So little of what I have done in my life or what I've accomplished in my life has anything to do with me and my talents. It's really about how lucky I've been, being in the right place at the right time, you know, being just able to be out there and take the chances and have this career, and I just feel like it's my responsibility, like my kuleana, right, to give back, to help people who have not been as lucky as I have, who have not had the same opportunities, who were not like born under a lucky star the way I was.
you got to take some credit though, because you've put in a lot of work to get where you are too. So I don't
There's
want.
a lot of people who put in far more work than I have who don't get anywhere. It's really, I do realize that so much of it is just about timing in my life,
Mm,
and
yeah.
where I was at in society at that time. And so I also just feel like there's uh, a satisfaction also on my part, so it's not just about giving back. I also get a lot of satisfaction from knowing that I've done good in the community, and there's so many people who need that extra help in different areas. Right now, of course, during this quarantine period, um, people are out of work. They're hardly able to make the rent or even feed themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and there's a lot of people who are responsible not just for themselves but for entire families, right? And so, this buy one feed one program, which is was presented to me by my friend Andrea, who was starting this through the Kamehameha schools. It's a program where you buy a meal from your local restaurant, which
Mm-hmm.
helps the community, and then you buy an extra meal to give to somebody who maybe can't buy a meal for themselves or can't get out of the house, or
Yeah.
somebody who is an essential worker who's been putting themselves out there, or just anybody who you think needs a little bit of help or deserving, somebody that you want to just show your aloha to. It's such a great way to help the community, and it's like threefold, right? Because you're helping the local restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and you're helping the community, and then you're helping yourself in a way
Yeah.
by knowing that you've done something, something good. And I think that there's like also just another awareness nowadays that people are growing up with that maybe didn't occur so much when we were young. When we were young, I think so many of us came from families who were already struggling, right? That we didn't
Mm.
have so much of the extra to be giving away to charities, like money to donate to charities and things like that. But now that I find myself in the position that I can do things like that, and maybe not just money, but having my platform to be able to
Yeah.
bring attention to things that are out there. Because some people, they're like, I want to help, I want to do something during this crisis, or anytime, I want to help, I don't know what to do, I don't know, where can I put my energies, where can I put my focus. you know I always encourage people to find something that they're interested in,
Yeah. That's
and
meaningful to them.
yeah, something that's meaningful to them. If it's the environment, I ran the Honolulu Marathon to raise money. Like, I didn't put my own money in, but I ran this Honolulu Marathon to raise money to bring awareness to and raise money for Reef Check Hawaii, which was a reef conservation program, because I found out that that they didn't have an actual reef conservation program going on in Hawaii, which was really weird.
Wow. Yeah. Of all
So yeah,
places,
of
right?
all places, exactly. So the environment was always something that was very meaningful to me. And then also I've been involved with Best Buddies, which
Yes.
is an organization that helps people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I've
We
had,
actually featured them on a previous episode of
oh
Stronger
yay,
Together. Yeah,
oh
we
good,
interviewed the local chapter here.
oh good, that's so
Yeah.
awesome. It's such a great organization because it's all about inclusion, right? It's
Hmm.
inclusion, tolerance, compassion. It's all about things that we really need to practice as human beings,
Hmm.
right? And so it's not just for the buddies, it's not just for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, it's for everyone, right? So
Hmm.
but if we can teach our students, our young people, through these programs, how to have this kind of compassion and to be inclusive and be tolerant of people who are not like you, and learn from them, because so many of our partners, are with these buddies. They partner the people with the disabilities with people with students that don't have disabilities.
Hmm.
The other students always feel like they get more out of it than the buddies themselves,
Yeah.
because when we go out there and we give of ourselves and we're showing compassion and we're sharing, we grow so much as human beings, that it really helps us flourish in life, and I feel like that's a message that's so important to put out there, not just to be kind to buddies, but that needs to be kind of the place that we come from for everyone, especially right now where the world seems to be so divided, left and right, red and blue.
Hmm.
It's just it's so divided, and I feel like if we can just come from a place of tolerance and understanding and compassion and inclusion, and realize that we're so much more similar than we are different.
I'm right there with you on that. I think
Yeah,
that so many people have been putting so much emphasis on what the differences are that they forget that there's also commonalities, and
yeah.
there's that we've lost that balance, right?
Yeah, and I hear so many of my friends getting into all these fights, right, on
Yeah.
Facebook and in Twitter, and they're like, "Oh, and I just had this big blowout with this other person, and they're so stupid, and blah 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 blah," and
How could they
whatever.
think
I'm like,
this
oh,
or yeah.
but I'm like, you're not helping the cause,
Yeah.
because if you really want to change other people's minds, if you really want to for other people to understand who you are, you have to understand who they are.
Right, exactly.
You cannot just be like pounding your ideas into somebody's head. They're going
Yeah.
to the harder you pound, the more resistant they're going to be, right? You have
Exactly,
to
yeah.
set an example, and you have to show that you are willing to listen to their side without judgment, which is really hard sometimes, right? It's so
Mhm.
hard for us to do that, to open our minds and not sit there and go, oh, that's dumb, you
Yeah.
know really try to understand. And that's part of what we do as actors, right? Is we
Mhm.
try to understand where our characters are coming from. So if you're playing an assassin, you're not just playing somebody who's a killer, because that's too easy.
Yeah.
That's
That's too
just one
surface.
note.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to understand what brought this person to the place that they are now. What is in their background that makes them think the way they do. And if you are willing to go deep, like with people, like you do with these characters, you will be able to understand so much better what we actually have in common,
I
and I
love
feel
that.
like
Yeah.
that's the only way that we're going to heal in this world. It's not about going out there and pounding our ideas into other people's heads. It's about really going one by one and understanding who these people are underneath all of that.
And I think that's also another layer to going back to your BOFO campaign that you're supporting is yes, it helps feed people. Yes, it helps the local businesses. Yes, it helps you feel better. But I think the fourth thing is that the person receiving your kindness, what they get is knowing that someone just cares about them, that someone thinks that they
Yes.
matter. And
Oh,
that's the gift that's probably far more valuable than the food that they're eating, which is great physically,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. The thought that you went through the trouble
Mm-hmm.
of going and buying this food, you thought of this person, and that you went through the trouble of doing that. I mean, these little things, just these little things that we do for one another, make such a difference
Yeah.
into as to how we view ourselves, how we treat people, and how other people will go on treating other people.
Yes.
It really is contagious, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the contagion that we want to spread. That's the virus that we want to spread, right? The
Yeah.
virus of aloha, as
Yeah.
opposed to the divisiveness.
As far as the BOFO campaign goes, how does it work as far as how does someone participate in it aside from buying two meals? Like, I know that there's something that you do also on social media to spread
Yes,
awareness.
what people can do is they can go on to buyoneFeedOne.com. There's a list of participating restaurants, but you don't have to buy a meal from one of those restaurants. Those are just suggestions.
Okay.
And those were especially put there for the Kamehameha students that were like, those are like the restaurants that we're like, you go support your
Yeah,
classmates.
yeah, yeah.
But I encourage anybody to go to any restaurant. I know
Mm-hmm.
Grant went to one of his Iolani grads, and to one of their restaurants and bought a meal, and so you just go and you buy a meal and you deliver it to the other person, and you take a picture of the meal, maybe, or even with the person if they want to, maybe they don't want to, but then you tag BOFO Hawaii, BOFO Hawaii, and I'm on that site, so I get all the tags from all the BOFO Hawaii, and so I'm always up there, applauding people who are doing
Oh,
it. So
cool.
yeah, so definitely I will see if somebody does that.
So that's added incentive for the person to do it. Not only will they feel good, not only are they supporting the community, but they have now a direct link to Kelly Who. Well, I love how this works because a lot of people who are going through their own financial struggles and stresses and stuff, I know they have a heart to want to help, but when they think, oh, if I'm supposed to donate or support a good or a cause, they think I don't have enough money to make a difference. But in this case, for BOFO, it's just an extra $10 or $15, which understandable is still significant, but it's doable for a lot of people, and yet
Uh-huh.
the effect that it has, the infectiousness of it, the spreading of aloha, having people feel like people recognize them and have themselves matter.
Right.
That's what is the beauty of it. It's not necessarily about, oh, you donated X thousands of dollars. It's no, you
No.
helped spread this
Right.
beautiful, wonderful cause that
And
is helping
even
the community come together.
exactly. And even if you
Yeah.
don't have money, let's say you don't have any money to spare for another meal, there's so many ways to go out and volunteer, right? I have
Yeah.
so many friends that are going out here in Los Angeles and in Hawaii even, that are passing out meals.
Mm-hmm.
And also Kamehameha Schools is matching. If you tag BOFO Hawaii,
Uh-huh.
they are going to match the price of your, I think you have to take a picture
Take the
maybe of
receipt.
the receipt or something.
Uh-huh.
They will match the price of what it costs for your meal, and donate that to Hawaii Food Bank. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's
So
awesome.
that's triple incentive, right? Or quadruple
Yeah.
incentive, really, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good coming out of one thing that you can do.
Well, we'll make sure to put in the description for this segment the tags and the information of where people can go to learn more about the BOFO campaign.
Hmm.
But I, I did see that you posted that you bought something for a neighbor of yours, right?
I know, she was so cute.
So
She
how?
she had been through chemotherapy, so I couldn't get near
Oh,
her. And so I told her, I'm coming and just dropping off a bag of food, okay? I was like, you don't have to be on camera because she doesn't want to, of course, And so I said, but I just want to get, a shot of you, picking it up. So she did.
yeah.
She opened her door, she grabbed the bag, and then she waved outside the door.
I
She's
love
so
that because you
sweet.
don't even see her body; you just see the
No,
hand
you just see the
grab and then the
hand come out.
wave.
Yeah. She was so adorable. But she's been my neighbor for over 20 years. And
Wow.
yeah, 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 yeah. So, it's not that she couldn't go out and it's not that she couldn't afford her own meal, but she can't get out of the house.
Yeah.
She can't even go and pick up a meal for herself if she wants to. She has to be so careful, right? Because
Yeah. It's
she's
not
just out of
safe for her to be
mobility.
out.
Yeah, it's not safe for her to be out there. So, even if it's just one less trip for them to have to go outside of their house to endanger themselves, especially with
Hmm.
the older people, right? All of our kupunan stuff. It's such a great way to be able to just help them out that one time.
And I gotta think as well. On top of that, I mean, if she's going through the recovery and going through chemotherapy, like that's a very stressful and difficult time emotionally. So to know someone thought of them to bring them food and that's
And
gotta
she's
be
by
such a huge.
herself.
Oh,
She's by
wow.
herself. So sometimes just making that human connection,
Yeah.
is so healing, right? And it just feels
Yes.
so good just to know that somebody is thinking about you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I love it. And when Grant told me about this and told me to check it out, and I saw that particular video, and I was like, this is. I went through all of my own stories in my head of what I imagined, what was behind the story, and I
Yeah.
was like, this is what it's all about. I think that as many bad things and difficulties that have come about from this crisis, there's also been some really beautiful things too. And I think what it's
So
done is
many.
it's encouraged so much more community and connectiveness, right?
Exactly. I was just saying that, I feel like we have been spending so much time on our phones. We think we're connecting because we're calling
Yeah.
people or texting people and whatnot, but we're not really making that human connection
Mm-hmm.
where, we're actually like affecting a person's well-being.
Yeah.
Like we are really isolated on our phones, in social media, and also social media these days sometimes tends to be so toxic, right? That I
Yes.
sometimes I feel like it's doing far more damage than it is good for
Mm-hmm.
us. And it's forced us to take a break and really pay attention to the people who are close to us,
Yeah.
especially, right? Like your kids probably are not used to being with you guys this much, right? They're like,
Mm-hmm.
just go get a job already. but but when we were growing up, we had more time with grandparents.
Yep.
We had more aunties and uncles around us all the time. We were not always separated by a screen.
Yeah.
And there's so many times that I notice that people are not in the moment because they're trying to capture the moment
Yes.
on camera. And it's really it's I feel like people are missing the whole point of living,
Mm-hmm.
and this has really made us open our eyes, um, think of what is actually important to us. It's nothing like life or death situations that make us think of, okay, like what am I going to save when this house goes on fire, or what am I going to want to be remembered for if I should ever catch this virus.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the people in my life that matter and that I have to remember to say I love you. That's a hard one, especially for Asians. We
Yeah.
don't grow up with a lot of I love yous,
I
you
was
know,
22 before I first said the words "I love you."
right? And then
I
you're like
can't-
crying and you're
yeah,
like,
like
woo,
oh,
yeah. And
what are
you're like,
these
oh my God,
tears
that was
from?
so painful. It's like, I can never do that again. But
Now
it's
it's
such
like
a
love
big
you, love you,
relief.
love you.
I know, right? To everything, all my friends now, I'm like, okay, bye, love you. And
Yeah.
it's just like it shouldn't be flippant. It should still have a meaning behind it,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't not be said. It shouldn't be
Hmm.
said only on a deathbed. It really needs to, because it's so important, especially for children, right, to know that no matter what happens, that you will have their back because you love them,
Hmm.
right? And it's not conditional, right? that's
Yeah.
the that's the thing that we grow up thinking sometimes that, oh, my mom is going to get so mad, she's going to hate me if
Yeah.
I don't do this, or if this fails, or I don't accomplish whatever. But I think it's important for us to know that no matter what, this person is going to have our back.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I love you now that we've met. So
Yes, I
there you
love you
go.
too.
I'm really, really grateful for this time that we've had. I mean,
Thank you.
I can't believe that you were willing to spend so much time with us, and our listeners are going to just really grow and learn a
Such a
lot from what you
pleasure.
did. So thank you. Before
Thank
you go, I
you.
just have one personal question that I want to ask, because I've never been in
Shoots.
contact with or friends with anyone who's had as many Instagram followers as you have. You
Oh,
have over
really?
100,000 followers, or
That's new to me
right,
too,
right.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, so with that, my question is, I guess, because I can't imagine what that's like. What is your Because when I open up Instagram, it shows me like, hey, you've got like 5 new likes, one comment, things like that,
Oh,
one message. Is yours just completely flooded with numbers, and you're just like, I don't even look at that? Like, what is your experience on
no,
Instagram
I
like?
still enjoy connecting. I still read the comments. Sometimes
Really?
they're crazy, but
Yeah.
you gotta figure, well, one out of 100,000 gotta be right.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, I still do. I'm not at that point yet where I cannot read every single comment, and of course now, especially right during quarantine, you have so much more time on your hands.
Yeah.
Um, but I do still appreciate, when people write comments or post or like. But I remember early on in social media, my boyfriend at the time, I remember saying, I wrote something and you didn't like it. And he goes, I like you in real life. He's like, I don't have to like all your social media posts. He's like, that's not real life, you know?
Yeah.
And we forget, right? We think that that's so important because it's become such a big focus of who we are, and it adds so much to our self-confidence. But we have to remember, that life is life and social media is social media. And yeah, it feels good to have 100,000 followers, but it feels better to have those best friends, and that's what really counts. The real connections that you make with other human beings, not just how many likes you're getting.
So I'm glad you told me that. So now I gotta be really wary of making sure I like a lot of your posts and comments now, because I'm usually a snob about it. I'm like, oh, that's nice, and I'll just scroll through. And my wife Jamie's always reprimanding me like, why don't you ever say that you like it or hit the little heart? I'm like, it's too much effort. They know I
That's
like them.
funny. I heart a lot of things because I think, I know that it makes people feel good, even though,
Yeah,
I just gave this whole thing. But it doesn't cost you anything, right?
yeah.
How much energy does it take to do an extra tap?
Okay, you got me. Yeah.
Right? I mean, think about it. Like as much as you want, spreading the aloha as much as you want, heart everything, because it doesn't cost you anything out of your day or a nanosecond of your time to give that little extra boost. Even if it's just 1/100th of a person, of a boost, to like a person's comment or page or whatever.
Well, you just made Jamie's day because she's just now listening to this as she's editing this and going, I told you, Kelly Who herself backs me up. So thanks a
I
lot,
do,
Kelly.
Jamie. You're so right, girl. I got your back.
Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us. And sorry to keep you up so late, but this was awesome. I
Oh,
just
thank you.
absolutely
I
love this
really
time with
enjoyed
you.
this. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me.
All right. Well, take care.